Hi, North Lake Church. Pastor Jeff here. Last week, I enjoyed a performance of the Villages Philharmonic Orchestra over at the Sharon Performing Arts Center. Some of you, actually many of you, may know that the orchestra rehearses at North Lake Church. They are a very talented group of musicians from all over Central Florida, under the baton of Pasquale Valerio, and he's really an extraordinarily warm and dynamic conductor. I've gotten to know him a little bit, really appreciate him and all that they do. Sometimes when they're rehearsing here, I will pop into the sanctuary to get to hear them getting ready for their concert. A few years ago, before COVID, I actually was in another part of the building when I heard this extraordinary piano music coming out of a room where the piano was seldom played. And I had never heard it played like that. And so I stepped into the room and listened a little longer. And then when the pianist was taking a break, I introduced myself and asked him. And turns out it was Antonia Pampabaldi, who was in town, who's an internationally acclaimed pianist. And he was warming up at our piano here in the Hope Room. He was getting ready for a performance later that day. Well, last week he was back in town. And he was here to perform the Beethoven Fifth Piano Concerto, commonly referred to as the Emperor Concerto. Concerto is when an orchestra plays along with a featured solo instrument, in this case a piano. And the Emperor Concerto was probably the most famous and popular of Beethoven's concertos. It's a little more than 200 years old. One of the things that's really interesting about it, it's 40 minutes long, and I am sure I've listened to it at least 25 times over the course of my life, probably many more than that. I had it on an album when I was younger, and then I've listened to it on CDs and certainly online performances. And I appreciate the fact that up until Beethoven's Fifth Piano Concerto, typically the concerto would start with an orchestra introduction before you'd hear the piano, but not in the Fifth. What happens in this one is the orchestra hits a strong major chord, and then the piano just launches into this blazing, beautiful liftoff. It's always struck me. Well, now you can tell I love music. And although I've listened to many recordings of that, when I was sitting there at the Sharon Performing Arts Center in that auditorium, I think it was the very first time I've heard that music live. And it just gave me shivers of joy hearing that music coming live from that performer, from that orchestra, people that I've met. And being able to just be transported by the quality of the excellence of that experience. It actually made me think since then about how wonderful it can be to be in the same room with the music that's being produced when it's a live experience. Now, I want to make a leap here. I want to talk with you about worship at North Lake. You know that we have been doing live stream now since June of 2020. That was prompted, of course, by our response to COVID-19. And as far as we can see, we're going to continue doing live stream. We think it's really important. In fact, we've got folks who regularly worship with us online, some living at a great distance, some who are seasonal. In fact, this is the time of year when more and more of you are saying, goodbye, we'll see you again in the fall, or we'll see you in January. And so we know there are many who are leaving for northern parts and will worship with us by live stream or by online options. And there are some of you who are just not able to get out. You're facing challenges with health or mobility, and so worshiping from home and the comfort of being able to worship there is of the utmost importance. And again, I endorse that. We've said that right along. We want you to be where you can be and worship with us. But for those of you who can, for those of you who are in town and able to get out and about, I want to encourage you to come on back to the sanctuary. I think now we at least have a major clearing in the pandemic, and an opportunity to be together again. And there's nothing quite like being in the same room with the musicians, with the worship as it's unfolding. I think that experience is exquisitely above anything that we can have from a recording or from the screen. We're going to do our best to do worship for everyone, in person and online. But if you've got a choice, don't miss in person. Come on and be with us. We'd love to see you in the rows and in the pews with us at North Lake again, especially as we're gearing up for Holy Week. That's just around the corner for Palm Sunday and Easter. We hope you'll plan to be a part of it. God bless you.